This is a game that envelops players in a sickly yellow-green world that uses low-poly PSX graphics. Creates a disturbing atmosphere where nothing is quite right. Its story is disorderly and fragmented, its visuals are jagged and unsettling, and its music sounds like a dial-up modem. This game feels like a bad fever dream, or an episode of Dissociation. This is Paratopic. To start with, this game has 3 different characters you play as and their stories are all loosely intertwined. According to the Steam page, we play as a smuggler, a birdwatcher, and some sort of assassin. Keep that in mind for when the game switches perspectives. You start out getting grilled by a cop, which is a pretty scary way to start out the game. You've been caught smuggling videotapes across the border. I want my damn lawyer, pig. I try to convince the cop not to watch the tapes to no avail as this happens. And with that, we cut to what appears to be a bird eating a corpse. A sign of the times, no doubt. Birds can't even afford seed in this economy. As you gaze upon the beautiful sights of Detroit, you have a quick chat with who I imagine is a girlfriend or a partner of yours. The voices are absolutely cursed and I love it. Makes me think of Animal Crossing voices, but terrible. Alright, this bit is done. So we load up our revolver and cut to some meeting with a businessman. I believe this to be the smuggler character who sits across the diner from the person with the gun. The man demands professionalism, which I'm not great at, being a 7-Eleven type human and all that. The man tells me to deliver some videotapes across the border and to not watch them, which is definitely a bad omen. I don't want to know what's on these tapes. I can't imagine it's anything good. Better pay well. Cut back to the assassin. I accidentally fire my gun while playing with condiments. And pick up various papers. Cut to waiting for an elevator. This game's got pacing. Upstairs in the bathroom behind a mirror, I find a tape with a note that says almost out. I have no idea what this means. Turns out we're in our apartment building, and your neighbor's a nosy bitch talking about how some men were in my apartment. Mind your own business, Janine. She really wants a tape. Like, really badly. Threatening to spill the beans on the people that were in my apartment earlier. She refers to herself as us, as in, give us the tape. She says she's starving for one and to give her a juicy one. This makes me think she's got something inside of her that feeds on the tapes. I cave because of that weird shit that happened earlier to the cop, and this happens. My theory just got a bit of validity, I think. Cut to driving. We kinda just drive for a while through this desolate city, not a soul in sight. I listen to some radio, some generic music, and then a talk show that sounds like Simlish. We drive for a good long while before cutting to a gas station. The clerk tells me about aliens and their electric rocks. He then asks if my friend outside is still filling up the tank. Obviously I came here by myself, but perhaps he sees something that I can't. Classic horror media gas station clerk, always knowing things the protagonist doesn't. We call that dramatic irony, kids. Cut to a lovely bird watcher out on the side of the road. I travel into the forest and come across a murder shack. Yep, I've entered too many of these at this point. You already know I had to go in. There's a locked door that I can't get into. When I go to leave, the door opens all by itself. This leads me down a staircase to an underground room with a giant hole in it. Couldn't go down the hole, unfortunately, but I knew the room had some significance, so I wandered around the room for a while until I found this electrical panel. I flipped some switches, and a bunch of monitors come on. There's something going on with the electrical company. Some big conspiracy we're only given breadcrumbs to work with here.
Big windmill.
I follow a path below the windmill. Before we can see what's at the end of the path, we cut to more driving. We really just keep driving, past billboards and empty-seeming buildings, as the sky gets darker. These segments are really good at building suspense and dread. Like I said, this game's got pacing. Yet another cut to the birdwatcher. I'm still in the forest, and I'm surrounded by these shipping containers that bear the symbol on the case with the videotapes. There are cameras everywhere, some of them with blinking red lights to show that we are, in fact, being watched. Danger, keep out. Yeah, that doesn't apply to me. I vote, drink milk, and pay my taxes. There's something over there. Can't tell what it is. My camera goes fuzzy every time I try to get a picture. I expected nothing less. Let's drive some more. This time we're outside the city and we're passing some very strange structures. Beyond that, the tunes were great. Back to the gas station, I have another lovely conversation with our ecstatic clerk. He says I must not be from around here, because I needed to ask about burgers. I did no such thing. If I needed a burger, I'd just hit up local McDonald's and be done with it. He tells me about the milk store, a store that only sells milk and milk-related products. Tells me about a giant ball of twine. This guy's freaking bored. Get this man a Game Boy stat. Ain't no one gonna tell me about the milk store with a straight face like this. One important thing he does tell me is that the local museum has items from the electrical company out in the woods. He says objects brought back do weird things, a la the electric rocks from before. And of course he hits me with the, "You two drive safe now." Jesus. Put him up! Put him up! Alright, well that's done. Time to watch some videotapes. Most of them seem to rewind time. Oh, this one works and we're back in the police station. Damn, he's split in half. Oh, this just isn't natural. Be seeing you, friendo. Alright, well that was a sight to see. Meanwhile, one of our characters is back in the woods. At the place I saw the SCP anomaly, I found a flayed corpse, which is pretty cool. Time to call 911. Hey, my name is Moistfob, and I found this skinless corpse behind the Wendy's off the 28. And with that, we have our story. Our breadcrumbs of a story. We aren't given any answers, and that's by design. Horror through confusion, you see. And I wanted to talk about the visuals. I mentioned this before, but this game really does look and feel sickly. Like the Mucinex Booger created the visuals. Paratopic is lo-fi PS1 type style that makes everything feel off. The low resolution and dithered textures are not only a stylistic choice, but they create an atmosphere that feels muddy and jagged. The PSX style isn't to make you feel nostalgic, but to make you question what you're seeing. For example, you see something in the distance. The low resolution has you questioning if it's a person or an object. Is it moving? Is it watching you? The visual uncertainty plays with your brain, and it helps to create a sense of dread. You're never too sure about what you're looking at until you're too close, and that's a bit horrifying. The gritty, unclear visuals force the players to engage their imagination in a way, filling in the gaps. This ambiguity is a powerful tool, allowing the player to tap into whatever fears are already in their primordial monkey brain. Not to mention the uncanny valley the NPCs fall into. It appears their faces were real photos just slapped onto models. The businessman in the beginning had that face that would warp and glitch around too. Paratopic's visuals actively work to unnerve and disorient you. It all contributes to an atmosphere thick with anxiety and discomfort. This game isn't just about story or the gameplay, it's about how it makes you feel. The discomfort runs deep, more than just the visuals. I love Paratopic. It's been an unusual one, and I feel I say that with most of all of my videos. We can thank my video topics for that. This is a game I played that just kinda stuck around in my head after experiencing it. Like catching your parents in the act of adult wrestling. Just disturbing. Normally I don't care for games that leave you with more questions than answers, but it's sort of Paratopic's whole thing. We see slices of the story, and it's up to us to make our own conclusion about what the hell is going on. And that being said, I don't have a full conclusion of what was going on. I'll leave that to everyone making a Paratopic explained video. My brain just isn't good enough to do all that. But here's what I do know. Paratopic excels at making you feel a type of way. It's a half-remembered fever dream, things are eerie and perhaps even familiar. The unknown is around every corner. All factors of this game come together and make a really cohesive experience. This game is a damn masterclass on how ambiguity can create dread. The disturbing atmosphere of Paratopic is one that I'll be sure to remember.
Now I have a Patreon.